First and foremost, I'd like to keep this as centered on the recruiting class, and then other questions and things of that nature. We'll make a time next week to address that stuff more. But I think this recruiting class deserves full attention as much as we can with it, and we'll go through that. But first, right now, because I know the reports are out there about the fact that Amir is leaving to become a head coach. And I don't want to say a ton right now because he's got a press conference coming up, I believe tomorrow. But I will say this, that it is rare that in a year's time that you get affected and impacted on such a personal level and a professional level. As I know I did, as I know our family did, as I know these guys did, this entire program did, by having Amir and Ari Abdul-Rahim inside the program. And he has done a fantastic job, and his reputation that he had before I ever got to know him and bring him in here was one thing, but actually working with him on a day-to-day basis and seeing his qualities as a person, as a professional, as a leader, somebody that impacted not only the staff, but not only impacted our recruiting, but our present players, was huge. And there's never, ever a good time to lose a key part of your staff. But the only thing that's going to be constant in college basketball that has been and will be is change. So you have to be able to deal with that and adjust as much as possible, and we'll deal with that. But we are so proud of him and happy for him, and it's a loss for us, but it's a gain for his professional career and becoming a head coach, and we're excited for him. And before we jump into the recruiting and start to talk about each guy individually, as well as a whole, I want to turn it over to Chad, and I want to turn it over to Jill. Okay, because let me say this. I like to do this because there's very few times that you get to see the full impact that a staff has on parts of the program. You know, usually the coaches aren't coming in after games, win or lose, right? You're not usually looking to see them in availabilities all the time. But there is no possible way that we have this level of recruiting, that we have the capabilities that we have to recruit and to have the potential to bring in these kind of people, not only in this class, but in the future, if you don't have the highest quality of people doing it. And Amir is not sitting up here. If he was here, he would be. But these two, along with Amir, have done a fantastic job. Our entire staff has. Our entire staff has been active in it. But when you have the three people that are the most active participants in it, and how they recruit and what the responsibilities are, and the travel and the countless phone calls and texts and messages and meetings and all the different things that go into they deserve it. And we would not have this recruiting class without what they've done. So I'll start with Chad.
Thank you for being here. About our recruiting class and just about our program in a whole. From day one, when I took the job here at Georgia, Coach Crean emphasized to everyone in our program that they came in, every coach, every staff member, that you have to have a recruiting mindset. That was something that was the foundation when we first walked in. Another thing that was important we talked about is that we are going to do it, not not one individual person. Time and time again, as a coach, I always get the question of who's recruiting that guy, who's the lead guy, who got that guy, and on this staff and in this program is us, is we, from everybody. As a full-time staff member, I have different responsibilities and allowed to do different things because I'm in that role. Joe's in that role also. But our other staff member also do things behind the scenes that they're allowed to do from an NCAA standpoint that helps with the recruiting. And so that's how we was able to land the guys we landed. I'm very excited about each individual player. And I'm looking forward to coaching them and developing their skills.
Well, I echo obviously what Chad and Coach have said. We together have worked hard to put this class together, and I think we together are working really hard to keep moving this forward, to keep getting this better and better. I mean, I think all of us probably have already returners to start to coach these guys when they get here in June and start to really build this team. And there's a real sense of excitement about that, coaching, getting them better, being with them every day, and getting this program really moving the way we want to get it moving. So it's been a process, and now we really get to the point where I think we really start to dig in and focus on getting better, coaching. How can we get these 4 guys better and keep getting our current guys better? So looking forward to that, and obviously with Amir, personally, I'm just really happy for him. Like Coach said, great opportunity for him. 38 years old, be a head coach. I mean, it's a great opportunity in his home state. I think we're all happy and proud, and look forward to following him going forward.
Yeah, and I want to say something also. I didn't get a chance to really say that something about Amir, but I've been knowing Amir for a long time. He actually was, we worked together. This was the day. This was our 3rd job working together. I worked with him at Georgia Tech, Murray State, and then here. And just to see, like Coach said, just to see his growth as a coach, as an individual, as a family man, and he's going to do really good things there. And like Coach said, I'm definitely excited for him and happy for him. And at the same time, sad too, because we are losing a good person and a good coach.
That's it. Slam it on Mike. Let me start off with the recruiting, and then we'll open it up to even more questions. How you want to go from there. So let me start with Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is a transformative talent, has transformative potential in the sense of what he can help bring this program. There's so many things that you see with him when it comes to his talent, when it comes to his explosiveness, when it comes to his desire, his grit. But there's a lot of things that you don't see, and those are the things that we're excited about. There is a tremendous amount of upside in him. He is he's a very cerebral guy, and that he wants to make plays for others. I think he gets a lot of excitement out of making plays and passes for others, and we want to help utilize that in every possible way. We want him to be as complete a guard as he can possibly be. I think Chad hit on something that sometimes people don't always understand, like he said, when it comes to, well, who's recruiting him or who's the lead guy? Well, it's us. Well, it's the same thing here when it comes to positions. We're very positionless, and a lot of times that's not always understood. And somebody might be a size, they might be a height, they might do different things, but we're trying to have as many basketball players that we possibly can have. And I think there's a lot of basketball player in Anthony. The ball is in his hands a lot. He makes plays for others. He's got to get better playing without the ball. His shooting will continue to get better. Every aspect of his game, I can go right on down the list, is going to improve. And I think that's one of the reasons that he chose to come here. He knows he's going to get better. He gets to do it in his home state. He gets to do it in a place that he's got a lot of respect already. And he gets a chance to have the people that are closest to him in his life still be a part of his life without the distance of a plane flight or a day-long trip or those type of things be in the mix. So to get him, to have him be a part of this, everybody should feel good about that. One of the games he was at right when he was finally making his decision for us was Texas. We had a phenomenal crowd. The energy of that building wasn't only the win, it was the passion of the crowd. So at the beginning of the year, when we said, hey, if we're going to recruit this the way we want to recruit it, the way the fans want it, if we're going to build this that way, people have got to be here. They've got to come. It can't be after we get it going. It's got to be now. There's a great example of that being living proof, because I know he commented on it different times. We'll have any more questions you have on him in a minute. We'll get to Christian Brown, is somebody that I had some familiarity with before I took the job here. Chad did as well before he got here. Probably the second day, I believe, that we were out recruiting, we went to see him at his old high school in Columbia, South Carolina, because I knew him and had that relationship, and it was worth the wait, because I think he is going to be a guy that can do a lot of different things. He's made a lot of improvement. He's getting bigger. Certainly he's getting taller. His game is improving. I thought going to Oak Hill was really, really good for him to be in that environment, to play under Steve Smith, who belongs in the Hall of Fame, and play that level of schedule. And to get that level of coaching was outstanding for him. He's got a lot of untapped talent and fight and aggressiveness that we just gotta help become more fundamentally sound. We've gotta help it become more efficient. We've gotta help it become clear. But as far as his desire to get better, his willingness to work, his excitement for the game, and a guy that really wanted to be at Georgia like Anthony, we feel really, really good about that. And very excited to have him coming in, very excited, not only with Anthony's family, but with Christian's mom, Melody Davis, to have her be a part of the program. So the upside of Christian is one of the things that you're banking on. The personality and the desire to compete is there right now. Going back to the two that signed earlier, I know we covered it in one of the press conferences, but Jaquan Walton was the first one to say yes from the state of Georgia. He goes to school in Montgomery, Alabama, but he's from Columbus, Georgia. And early on, once we had a chance to see him on film and see him in one of the early live periods, there was no question he would be a tremendous fit. He can shoot the ball with range. He's got good length, very good athleticism, very good around the baseline, making plays around the baseline, wants to win, wants to compete. A little quiet, but we'll get that out of him. And he's a winner. He went all the way to the state championship this year back in Alabama. But his upside, he's got to get stronger. Certainly he's got to get, like they all have to get better defensively. They have to get better at moving without the ball. Today's not about all the things they've got to get better at. It's about some of the things that they bring to us. And Jaquan brings tremendous upside for us. And that shooting is something that we're going to need right away. Tamani Kamara is the one that once we dove in there and had a chance to really get to know him, not only see the upside, but there was a great example of watching somebody play on his AAU team and then watching him play and film on his high school team and having a strong belief. It reminded me a lot of how we recruited, in the past when we recruited Victor Oladipo and how we recruited OG Anunoby. There were a lot of things that you could see, but once you really dove into what they did and their system and their structured system, then you could really see even more. Tamani is highly skilled, tremendous quickness, short space quickness, very good awareness, a rebounder, offensively and defensively, moves well without the ball. I've seen him have, as have Joe, have some tremendous games, very, very hard worker, getting bigger, and has a real desire to compete. And I think that's the thing that maybe is hardest to judge in recruiting. It's not just who likes to play, likes to win, but who loves to compete enough that they hate to lose. And you really, really have to dive into that, because if you're going to truly win, you got to have incredible competitors. And it's our job to pull that out of them. It's our job to take what they are and pull that out of them. But those four, and obviously you know our scholarship numbers now, we're not done, but to be at this point right now with these four is a tremendous feeling. It's a tremendous sense of pride to have, like I said, the fan base and the passion behind this program, for people to fill the seats, for people to have an excitement for what we're excited about, because I think the recruits felt that. And like Joe said, we can't wait to get them on the court when they get here in June. So, go ahead.
Questions for any of the coaches? No four mics, so far away with questions.
Yeah, Coach, you said that you know the scholarship numbers. How many more do you plan to sign and on the horizon? What's the window for those signings?
There's not a window right now. I think it's changing so much. I mean, there's so many different ways to look at recruiting. It's not only the available seniors, or it's not only the portal changes probably every 10 to 15 minutes. You know, there's additions there, so you just have to stay very fluid with it. So there's not truly a window. There's planned recruiting right now. There's recruiting that's changed already this morning. I mean, so you just stay very, very active with it. If you don't have if you can't operate in a fluid business like this, and with all this change, you're going to get left behind. And so there's a lot of film study, there's a lot of phone calls, there's a lot of messages, there's a lot of talking to different people, and then there's diving in and trying to get to know the person. So we don't have a set number right now. We know that we'd like to add some sides. We know we'd like to add somebody else at least in the backcourt because of our changes in the backcourt since the season ended. We've got to make sure that we're not guard short there. I mean, it's such a positionless team, but the more that we can play three quicker decision-making, ball-handling, driving guys, the better we're going to be. And at the same time, developing our bigger wings to be able to play the same time with them. But we've got to be able to address what's going on in the paint too. This is the best rebounding league I've said it before, it's the best rebounding league I've ever been in. And so we've got to make sure that I don't see that going anywhere. We've got to make sure we're addressing that constantly too. So it's a lot of where are we at, what do we need, and what do we want to get. But you have to be ready for change. You know, we didn't see necessarily the JoJo Toppin change coming this week, but there it is, and you've got to be able to deal with it.
Tom, do you remember the first time you had recruiting contact with Anthony? And can you talk about just the nature of recruiting and trying to keep him in the state at your program when a lot of the Blue Bloods were wanting?
Well, it was team effort. And that's where Chad and Amir especially get a ton of the credit for knowing so many of the people in that, in his orbit, you know, longer than this, right? And then just going to get to know those people and getting to know his coaches. The first time, I think it was on the phone, and then the first time I saw him live would have been in the first live period last year, but I watched a ton of tape. Really watched a ton of tape, that every bit of tape I could get my hands on. My first weekend between the 16th of getting the job and the 19th of coming back, I had film that I watched at home. And I would just dig up. So we knew that that name came about very, very early, that was going to be a key name, and even at his age of, at that point in time, being a sophomore. So we wanted to make sure that we didn't leave any stone unturned on that. Then it's just a matter of building the relationship. We were fortunate to get him here on unofficials a couple of times and have a chance to sit and talk to him and talk to him in a way of where we thought he could go. You know, not just what he was doing, even before he had made his decision to go into this 19 class. But again, it was really staying on the same message, and it's for others too. There's no need to leave. It's all here, right? It's all here. The campus, the beauty of the campus. Obviously, the level of the education. You know, it's a world-class education. There's world-class leaders that teach at this school. I mean, with the professors and things of that nature. The passion for sports, the location. You know, the league, the pedigree of what we've done with helping other people get where he wants to go. You know, all those things. There's no reason to have to leave. There's some that has fallen on deaf ears with. But a guy like Anthony Edwards didn't fall on deaf ears, and it was really, really important. It didn't fall on deaf ears with the people that he's with. And do we hope that there's a groundswell from that for the future? Yes. But at the same time, the most important thing to do was to get him, and we were able to do it. So we're very, very proud of that.
Coach, how do you plan on using him initially here in Horizon?
Put him on the court.
I know that. Right?
Let him play. Just, I think the biggest, you mean when he gets there in the summer,
Yeah.
really start attacking his skills, his body, you know, where he's got to get stronger, where he's got to get in better shape. You know, do those assessments right off the bat with where he's deficient at, maybe where it's got to grow. Ease him into the weight program. You know, we're having a very challenging spring. I'm not sure that any of those new guys would be ready for that right now. I'm not sure we want to do that. But get him eased into that, but then get him right away on the court. Start challenging in a sense of what he's got to get better at, offensively and defensively. And it'll be a great time. We'll get a good 8 or 9 weeks with them this summer, which will be really, really important. I think first day they start classes June 2nd, I believe. So we'll attack that, and then just see what happens. I mean, it's really our training. If you watch this workout, Nick Claxton doesn't do anything different than Turtle Jackson does. So it's really a matter of just building their skills daily, and then it's more about skill development, player development, mind development, competitive development than it is about scheme development in the summer.
How special is his skill set?
I think it's going to expand. I think it is. I think the athleticism. I think the body. I think the ability to. I think the biggest thing we got to do is get it more consistent. You know, when you can play that well, be that efficient and effective, there's no reason you can't do it even more often. And where his career is heading, like the others, and what we're going to need out of him next year, it's really a matter of that level of consistency. So I think your skill level is really only as good as your ability to improve it, your ability to bring it out under pressure, and your ability to bring it out consistently. And we've got to make sure that we're helping him learn that every day. But the people that really pay attention not only see him getting better, but they've seen him just absolutely be able to dominate in games. But I think one of the reasons that he's going to be here is he knows we're going to try to expand and bring a lot of things to his game. You know, clean up, build on, you know, whatever way you want to look at it.
Do you have any doubt that you're going to add a point guard to your roster before next season?
Well, I would be shocked if we didn't add more players. But I mean, again, we need guards. Anthony is a guard. Tyree is a guard. Jordan is a guard. Do we need decision-making to pick up? Absolutely. There's no way we can compete at 15.9 turnovers a game. We can't, right? And we've got to create more turnovers, because the difference, our turnover margin, the turnovers were bad, the turnover margin was worse, because we didn't create enough off of our defense. So really trying to address length, trying to address a lot of switchable people, people that can do a lot of multiple things defensively. That was a huge part of this recruiting class. But there's no question that we want to add more decision-making, we want to add more scoring, we want to add more of a competitive mindset defense. And having somebody else that is a guard that can play the point guard, absolutely. That's part of our focus. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it's definitely part of our focus.
What about the walk-ons? You had 2 spots going into the offseason. You filled one, right, with Eder or something like that?
We have 2 preferred walk-ons right now.
Okay. What's the other one?
Because they haven't signed, I'm not sure I'm allowed to speak on them, so I better not do that.
What-
I don't know the real rule on that.
What is this, how many scholarships are left right now technically? How many more could you sign? As many as?
Right now?
Yeah.
We have 3.
3.
Well, you're.
That doesn't mean we'll use them.
Right.
You know, I can tell these guys are like gold bricks, right? And let's pay attention to, obviously, you're recruiting for the immediate, but you've also got to have a view of the future. So we've got to make sure we stay true to that. I'm sorry, Mark.
You took your time to assemble this staff. Do you anticipate that it might be a while before you fill Amir's spot? And what
I'm not
the
sure
date?
yet.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure. It's happened so quick. And it's really come to fruition just over, we didn't accept it till yesterday. And it really didn't intensify till shortly before that. So I've had some time to think about it. I'll have some people target me. You know, the biggest thing is I do and I will have some people targeted and then we'll go from there. But as far as the timeline, I'm not sure yet.
Any questions for any of the coaches?
Come on, coach, you guys gotta ask them something. Pull them out of the office.
Without,
Chad and Joe would have had lunch.
without belaboring the point, can you just update us on Nick Claxton?
We're getting that feedback. There'll be something clear on there pretty soon, but he has been a fantastic worker. He's doing a great job of getting better. We're in the 4th week of our off-season program, so he's handled this thing. For a guy with options like that, he and his family have handled this thing beautifully. But we're getting more and more feedback from him.
Coach Dollars, you've gone around the Atlanta area recruiting going to, what kind of feedback do you get from high school coaches about what the program here is trying to do?
Great feedback. They are really excited about what we're trying to do here. They're really excited about the part that we really kind of made the focal point of our program is developing our players. They're really excited about that. They even come see some of our workouts. They ask for notes and things of that nature when it comes to how we want to develop our guys and how we want to develop their skill set. So everything has been so positive, and I'd like to say that everybody's really excited.
Coach Scott, in your tenure as a head coach and an assistant coach, how have you used your recruiting contacts to have success here?
I think a lot goes into recruiting. Can be the local, it can just be the years of experience of, like you said, being a head coach, having coached for 30 years, all those contacts through the years. What ends up happening is you learn the world is really connected. The basketball world's a really small world, and you end up recruiting a guy. Like we're in this process right now. You find out, hey, this kid's available, and next thing you know, through my contacts, I know his coach. I've known his coach for a long time, so I think a lot of those things come into play. And obviously, Georgia is a big focus for us. But for us to be able to get Tumani, for us to be able to continue to raise the profile of this program. I mean, a player is a player is a player, and like I hear, we want to get the best players we can get so we can make this program be the best it can possibly be. So all those things go into recruiting, and we're going to use everything that we have to our advantage, and I think it's shown up already, and we're going to keep making sure we do that going forward.
Coach Dollar, you talked a little bit about how it's kind of a team aspect of trying to get these recruits, like it's all y'all doing it. Does that help with if an assistant coach leaves, like Amir, does that help with okay, well, he recruited me, but I have all these other people kind of helping me out?
Oh yeah, that definitely helps. See, what happens and what we do in the recruiting aspect of it, you want we home in on one individual guy. Most individual guys, they'll have at least 3 or 4 guys or 3 or 4 people around them that they're close to. So it might be a family member, it might be a father, it might be a grandparent. And so when I might touch on one individual guy, I might get close to him. Then Coach Scott might have a better relationship with another guy. And then Coach Amira have another guy, and then Coach Crean also. And so then you all come together and to find one common denominator that's try to sell your program and sell what you're trying to bring when it comes to the University of Georgia.
Coach Crean, one more question on Anthony. I guess before he committed, when you guys were talking, was there one question or something he wanted to get an answer from you to understand maybe better what was going on in Georgia before he made up his mind?
No. He just, was gonna back up what I said.
Yeah.
It's really what it comes down to.
Mhm.
And with that comes that you can never be afraid. You gotta be a driver, right? You gotta have drivers in a program, right? Most people are gonna end up at a level like this, even at their age, they're driven, to a point. But you gotta have somebody who will drive him even harder, help him become the driver that he needs to be for his future. But never be afraid to make him better. Hold him to that standard. I think he's a very competitive person that wants to get better. And that was our whole tack with how we recruited him. Again, we didn't recruit him on where he was at. We didn't recruit him on what he was doing. We recruited him on what he could do, what it was gonna take to do it, right? And built on it that way. So I would say that no, he was, he's been very good at that. He's a lot of fun to be around. He loves basketball. I mean, he just loves it. And when you get somebody like that's got that kind of passion, and they're speaking our language, so it's good.
Do you remember when he told you he wanted to come to Georgia?
No, it was shortly before the announcement, but, not much. We felt good, we were working at it, but I don't remember the exact time, no. But I remember when he announced it, I remember where I was at then, but, no, it was just constant, dialogue, it's not like you had to check in with him 10 times a day. He's not wired that way. But our conversations were always pretty substantial.
When you talked to the recruits, and I guess kind of a two-part question here. One, the Texas game was obviously a marquee win, and you mentioned that Anthony was there watching. How important was that victory, and what do you take out of this last season in terms of how some of these teams that you went to the wire with fared in the NCAA tournament? Is the message that you're really not as far away as maybe the record indicated? Is that set higher?
Well, again, I don't look at it like that. No, I think win or lose that game, the atmosphere was incredible, right? And I think that helped. There was a lot of passion and juice. The fact that we did win, the fact that we did score those kind of points against a team like that was obviously, it was helpful, right? But the atmosphere was probably, in this situation this year, probably one of the biggest determining things. Wouldn't you agree, Jeff? Yeah. But the win certainly helped, right? I mean, because the crowd was great in it the whole way. I think, absolutely, I think it's most important. See, anything you're really telling a recruit and their family, you're telling your own team. And I think the bottom line for our own team was to keep understanding that we're that close. I mean, it's not easy to be that close, okay, lose it, and have to come back, turn around, and keep doing it again. It's just not easy. But building that level of resiliency, building that level of toughness, and that level of belief and care, well, that's the same thing you're trying to get across to recruits. And I think the fact that people could see that, I think the fact of the way that we were competing, the way we were coming back time and time again, when it didn't go as well, they see that too. They see that this is a team that is improving, they work at it. We had some moments, obviously the Missouri game, things like that, where we weren't very good at all. But bottom line is they could see the improvement, and that's what we're selling. I mean, the league doesn't just sell itself because it's close. I mean, there's so many great teams and programs, and there's so much stature to the league. What you have to be able to sell is this: what it's going to take to win in this league, right? And we try to get across to them. We're not recruiting to try to get in the hunt, right? We're not trying to recruit to just get a little bit better. We're trying to recruit to be all the way in. And you got to get people excited about that. Not everybody is. Not everybody's excited about sharing limelight or who's all on the team and am I going to get to do this? Am I going to get to do that? You got to navigate that, okay? Because there was no way we led the Big Ten in scoring, I think over the last 6 years. If we didn't have really good players that defended and moved that ball extremely well, right? You've got to have guys that understand being a teammate. And so it's not only about the recruiting, it's about what's gonna fit. You know, whether they're from Georgia, whether they're from somewhere else. So I think all those things help, but I think people getting around and seeing the energy of our team and seeing the energy of the crowd when they come to games, I think that's what excites people. And then if they get a chance, like I've said so many times here, the games are awesome, and the recruits wanna see them, but I'm happiest if they're seeing us practice and work out, because that's where they're gonna be at the majority of the time, right? And in a given year, you're gonna play 19, 20, 21 home games, you know, at best, right? The bottom line, you're gonna be in that practice gym and then the Stegman Coliseum court practicing a lot. And do you feel like you're gonna get better with that? And that's what we've really tried to get across to people.
And then you mentioned how eager you all are to work with the recruits. Well, do we know, will Rayshon be, June 2nd, is that the first practice? Will he be back by then?
He's with us now. We've got one workout today because Tyree was sick yesterday. Gotta get to that in a minute. But Rayshon is standing now. He'll be running soon, not playing. But I'm not sure, I know he's not behind schedule, put it that way. But I've done this before, we incorporate him into the things that we're doing. You know, early on it was chair shooting and very close in range shooting, things like that on the side. Now we incorporate him and probably I would say yesterday we incorporated him in probably 85% of what we did inside of the workout. But there's no movement, you know, it's not like he's moving, we just have to be creative. But the whole message to him was, even though you're not gonna be able to do what everybody else is doing, your improvement is as important as anybody else's on this team. And he's done everything, he hasn't done everything we've done with the actual fitness and conditioning training. Spent a lot of time on the bikes, the airtime bike, but he has lifted the way everybody else has, his body's changed.
Let's take one more question. Anybody? All right.
Great, thank you, thanks for coming.